Superman Legacy is coming. It's going to be the start of a brand new DCU. The DCEU is dead, or at least it will be once Aquaman does its theatrical run. And long live the DCU. It's coming out of the gates hot with the number one superhero, Superman, right? But with the state of the DC properties and movies being the fact that we've seen over and over and over again repeatedly prove that the audience is kind of over it, maybe they should consider pushing it out even further than 2025. And that is the topic of one of today's Mint Mobile hotline questions of the day. Listen, if you guys have a topic or a question for the show and you'd like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. We answer one or two of those every day. And this first one up is about, should they delay Superman Legacy? Check it out.
Hey, Johnny crew. This is Andrew from Pennsylvania. I'm just calling in about, DC's plans going forward. I know the universe is set to reboot in 2025 with Superman Legacy, but I really feel like they should kind of push it back a little longer. I don't know how you feel about this, but, with the recent DC flops, we had the Flash perform abysmally. We had Blue Beetle flop massively. I think the public isn't ready yet for a new DC universe. I would say push it back another 3 years. And they have to know that Superman Legacy is probably still going to flop, even if it's a great movie, because fans just aren't over the past DC movies that we've had, the atrocities. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this.
All right, Andrew, thanks a lot for calling that in. And listen, you're not wrong. For 5 years, the DC films have been all failures, right? Not since the first Aquaman back in 2018 has any DC film made over $400 million. Not one of them in the past 5 years has even gotten to $400 million. And dear heavens, if an MCU film makes under $400 million, that's headline news. But out of the last 7 or 8 that they've done, none of them gotten to that mark. You're right. The audience is over DC. So should they push back Superman Legacy? Well, here's the thing. In that question, there's an assumption that delaying it 1 or 2 years will help matters. And I'm not sure that they will. I'm not sure that just pushing it back a couple of years is going to make any difference. As a matter of fact, I think it might be counterintuitive. Because what's the old saying? If you fall off the horse, get back on the horse, right? Sort of thing. The only thing that is going to rehabilitate the image of DC is not delaying for future movies. It's by restarting and getting good product in front of the audience. And listen, I've been on record, and I 100% agree with you. This Superman Legacy movie, all right, I'm going to call it right now, is going to flop. It might be spectacular. They damn well better hope it's spectacular. It better be spectacular. But I think financially, this is a movie that is not going to do well. It just isn't. And I don't think delaying it 1 or 2 years is going to make a difference. The fact of the matter is, DC needs to rehabilitate the image of what going to a DC movie is, what a DC experience is, and all that is going to take time. It's going to take time. Like, you can have a great basketball player, but if they go down with a broken leg and they don't play an NBA game for 2 years, you can't expect that they're going to come out on the court in their first game back and put up 40. They're not. It's going to take time. Right? And I think that the heads over at Warner Brothers, whether it's David Zaslav himself or the specific heads at DC with Peter Safran and James Gunn, they have to be cognizant and self-aware enough to know that we need to make a great movie, and we have to know in advance that it's not going to do well financially because it's going to take us a little bit of time to win back the audience. So much damage has been done to this DC brand over the past 10 years. And it's going to take time to rehabilitate that. But you're not going to rehabilitate it by just staying in bed, right? You got to get out of the bed. You got to do the exercises. You got to go to rehab. You got to do all. They got to put in the work. They got to make a great Superman movie. And I think you get it out as soon as you can. I mean, I don't think they need to get it out in 2024. Obviously, 2025 is fine. And by the way, that's going to give audiences a full year and a half. A full year and a half for Warner Brothers and DC to really start an education campaign about making sure the audience knows a brand new day is coming. It's a whole brand new DC. Everything that was DC is gone. It's a brand new DCU, all that kind of stuff. And if they do that, and then most importantly, make an excellent, not good, excellent Superman Legacy movie, yeah, this one film may lose money, but they will be setting themselves up for success. The fate of DC and the future of DC is not about Superman Legacy. It's about how do the next 10 films do. And that's probably going to mean accepting that the first one's not going to do well. So no, I really don't think they should delay it any further. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, like me, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Vessi, the shoe that claims to be incredibly comfortable and waterproof on top of that. Well, these claims are really interesting to me because as a Canadian who walked around in a lot of snow, and as somebody who likes to go camping and hiking with his wife on the weekends, there's nothing more uncomfortable and horrible than walking around in wet feet. So after receiving my first pair of Vessis and noticing how incredibly good looking the shoes are and how mind-boggling comfortable and flexible they are, the first thing I did was I took them into the backyard to put it to the supreme waterproof test and dipped my feet in my pool. Guys, my feet were bone dry, and like 20 seconds after having them in the pool and I touched them, the shoes themselves were also bone dry. Guys, seriously, these shoes are stupidly comfortable, they look great, and they absolutely lived up to the claim of being waterproof and keeping my feet dry. I absolutely love my Vessi shoes. So guys, if you want shoes that are good looking, are ridiculously comfortable, and on top of all that waterproof, you need to head to vessi.com/Campea and get yourselves a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get shoes for your best summer yet. Chris, this has been obviously a big topic of conversation for a long time about, the struggles of DC, period. The fact that they're doing, whether it's a hard reboot, nominal whatever, but a new DCU is coming. Do you think there could be, though, some advantages to delaying the restart of the DCU? How do you see it?
I mean, it's already being delayed. It's already being pushed back further. So the only advantages I can see here are getting what they're working on right. Really making sure that is a tight script, which James Gunn, he can be working on that on his own accord, I guess. But, he is a member of the WGA.
Well, he finished the script ages ago. Yeah.
Which we, though, know, usually you continue working on this once you're on set,
right.
Once you have other people in there, once your actors start reading it and go, oh, you know what? David actually would sound much better saying it this way.
Yeah.
Rachel would really crush it if she got to add that bit of improvisation there. So they have time to make sure they execute this thing well. So he can take all this time right now, too, to be doing his storyboards, to be making sure that everything is working smoothly and he's got all his ducks in a row. I think delaying it further only adds to the cavern that is the DCEU, right? We've had some great films come out, some good films too, some really fun ones and some okay ones. And people, regardless, have just not shown up for them because they don't seem to care or are interested right now. Not only does James Gunn have the issue of making us care about a new version of the DC film universe, he's got to make us care about Superman.
Yeah.
That's a tall order, and something that historically comic writers as well as television and film writers have struggled with is how do you make this invincible man who's very literally alien have real world problems that we can connect to?
Superman Lois does a good job with that.
Superman Lois does a great job of that, where you see Tyler playing this father who can't connect to his kids despite all the power in the world, right? Or still struggles with how gentle he needs to be moving through the world and has to be always aware of how his actions, if he loses control, if he gets angry, can really hurt somebody. So they've got a lot to do here. And I think what they're doing with this film is really smart already, of having it be an established Superman, having some other supers in there, just kind of tertiary characters though. So we know this is a world with superheroes, this is a world where everything's established, and see how he's navigating through that world. The other issue here too is if they want to have a quote unquote younger Superman, Henry started when he was David's age. He was 30 years old. He's now 40. That was 10 years ago. If we push this back further, what was the point in the recasting?
Yeah, you have to get a new guy.
We're just going to do it all over again. So I do think they need to strike while the iron's hot here, while there's still buzz, because everyone was really excited about who was being cast in this film, who's going to be cast as we move further on once the strikes end, hopefully soon. I think they need to do this within the next few years. Otherwise, they risk really losing their audience entirely.
I agree. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.